From getting slapped in front of the entire world to taking his revenge in a Netflix special. Here's how Chris Rock finally addressed the infamous Will Smith slap. It's March 27, 2022, and the 94th Academy Awards are underway. It's a day that will ultimately live on in the history books. You remember what happened that night? The moment that captivated an entire country. The slap. As Chris Rock was announcing the nominees for Best Documentary Feature, he cracked a few jokes. And seated in the front row was Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith. You know what happens next. Chris's famous last words, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." Oof. For a brief moment, the crowd just laughed, even Will. The laughter could have faded, and Chris could have simply continued the show. The night would have gone on like any other Oscars ceremony. But Will had other plans. He got up out of his chair, headed straight for Chris, and open hand slapped the comedian across the face.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Rock simply laughed it off, and so did the crowd, assuming it was a planned skit. But Chris was also confused. He'd just been slapped in front of the entire world, and all he could say was, "Oh, wow, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me." Yes, he did, Chris. Yes, he did. Of course, it didn't stop there. Will wasn't messing around. He said, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth." Smith wanted everyone to know how serious he was. But surely, Will wouldn't go to that extreme over a simple joke, right? Well, let's take a look at the history of Jada, Will, and Chris. For starters, they are all Hollywood stars. And while we don't know what happens behind closed doors, it's safe to say that they run in the same circles. In fact, Jada's been the butt of the jokes for Rock's comedy sets before. Back in 1997, Rock commented on her participation in the Million Women March, which she didn't seem to like very much. In 2016, Jada, along with many others, decided to boycott the Oscars for a lack of African-American nominees. And guess who hosted the Oscars that year? Yep, you got it, Chris Rock. And in the opening monologue, Chris took a shot at Jada, saying, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited."
Jada's gonna boycott the Oscars. Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Oh, Chris, if only we can go back in time and warn you. After taking a look at the history between Chris and Jada, was the slap warranted? You tell me. Okay. Before we get into how all this could have caused Will's meltdown, let's take a step back. You might be wondering, what the hell did Chris even mean? What's G.I. Jane? And how does it relate to Jada? 1997's G.I. Jane is a film starring Demi Moore. In the film, the lead character is a bald woman. We know Jada's had issues with alopecia before, and in 2021, she decided to get it over with and completely shave her head. Overall, the joke was a bit of a cheap shot, but did it warrant the slap of a lifetime? Personally, I don't think so, but who knows? There's people on both sides of the aisle on this issue. One thing I do know is that Chris and Will have publicly spoken out about the incident, and neither was very kind towards the other. Within an hour of the incident, Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor. Boss move. During his acceptance speech, he apologized to a number of people. The Academy, the other nominees, the Williams family, pretty much everyone. Well, everyone except the guy he actually slapped. To top it all off, Smith received a standing ovation for his speech, after everything that had happened. And that was Chris's second slap in the face that night. In the days following the event, Will issued a public apology to Chris via social media. Actually, he apologized to Rock's entire family and said his actions were inexcusable. Do you think?
My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
Obviously, an apology wasn't gonna cut it. Soon after, Smith was banned from any Academy event for 10 years, proving that no matter who you are, there are consequences for your actions. The news cycle moves quickly. Here we are, over a year later, and no one's talking about the infamous slap. It could have stayed that way, and soon we could have all forgotten it. But Chris wasn't finished yet, and he brought the drama back in a big way. On his new Netflix special, Rock called Will out, and he didn't hold back. That was just some of what he had said about his newfound enemy. Ouch, those words cut like a knife. Rock seemed to use jokes to send a clear message that he wasn't over what had happened. His main issue seemed to be that Will took all of his frustrations out on someone significantly smaller than him. Frustrations that came directly from his wife. In the months leading up to that night at the Oscars, rumors spread rampantly about Will and Jada's relationship. The word was that Jada had been cheating on Will while he was continuing to stick by her, even after learning of her infidelity. Rock pointed out that he was sympathetic to what Will was going through, and even tried to call him and offer support, but Will didn't answer. Not even a text, Will? Really? After making sure the audience in his Netflix special knew he was the good guy, Chris went in for the kill. He threw insults left and right, and questioned why Will would decide to slap him, saying, "And who did he hit? Me! A person he knows he could beat. True." The crazy part is, this isn't even the most interesting thing we learned. Those were the headlines. Everyone's missing the most important part of what Chris said. There's one person he blames more than Will: Jada. Remember the 2016 Oscars incident we talked about earlier? The one Jada decided to boycott? Not only did he claim she was only mad because her husband didn't get a nomination for his film Concussion, but according to Rock, she tried to convince him to boycott as well. Instead, he decided to simply host the show and make fun of Jada for thinking anyone cared. Damn! This is where he points all the blame at Jada, saying,
Nobody's picking on this. She started this. And a lot of people go, Chris, how come you didn't do nothing back?
"Tell us how you really feel, Chris." In this set, Rock showed some degree of respect for Will, saying he'd been rooting for him his entire life. After the special aired live on Netflix, Will responded rather quickly. He had an anonymous source state that he was embarrassed and just wished the whole beef could be squashed. The source said, "Will apologized to Chris and would like for Chris to let it go. To be fair, Will, you did slap the man in front of the entire world, so I'm not surprised that he hasn't quite gotten over it yet." At the end of the day, it seems Chris got the last laugh in this fiasco. He knows Will and Jada probably won't be coming out to fight anything he says, and he'll most likely milk the opportunity for some time. But who knows? Maybe Rock and Smith will patch things up. After all, it seems silly to destroy a friendship over something so stupid. We might even see Will at a Chris Rock show enjoying some knee-slapping jokes. Wow, poor choice of words there. So, from getting slapped in front of the entire world to taking his revenge in a Netflix special, that's how Chris Rock finally addressed the infamous Will Smith slap.